Welcome to the 7th episode of Tokenizing Everything, our weekly interview series with thought leaders in the tokenization industry. Today is the first edition in 2021 after the 2-week break. Welcome back. Well, not so much a break for our operating business, which kind of went in synchrony with recent crypto market rallies, but I guess everyone in the industry is familiar with that. I mean, linking requests skyrocketing again and so on. But anyway, we have a special episode prepared for you today with a few of our team members on board. Further, I've invited, especially for this episode, Disrupt Network Managing Director Jan Mundin to be my co-host today. Before we begin, I have to mention that all opinions are solely personal and do not reflect the opinion of Amazing Blocks or other involved parties. So let's begin. Hello, Jan. Nice to see you again, and nice to have you here today. The stage is yours.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here. So I think to get started, the best thing would be to have every team member of Amazing Blocks present themselves very briefly, and also maybe mention like a personal anecdote, how you got into blockchain or what amazes you about Amazing Blocks. Yeah, Nicolas, maybe you want to start.
Yeah, perfect. First of all, thank you for the introduction. My name is Nicolas. I manage business development at Amazing Blocks. And in terms of the blockchain background, I mean, I joined the industry in around 2016, obviously, like most people with trading, and then quickly though focus on working on in the real world use cases for this industry, and then that's what kind of eventually led me to join Amazing Blocks.
That's sweet. Sergej, do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, my name is Sergej. I'm the CEO of Amazing Blocks since the beginning of this year. I got involved into crypto full-time in 2017 during the ICO craze, and I've been leading my own cryptocurrency or corporate finance consultancy for blockchain startups the past 3 years, and yeah, basically working since last year summer for Amazing Blocks.
Nice, wonderful. And maybe just name the next person to get started, so it's like a smooth handover.
Okay, Raphael, let's go.
Okay, thank you, Sergej. Hello, I'm Raphael Hess. I'm the CTO of Amazing Blocks. For me, the road was kind of similar as Nicolas's, that I went over trading into the academic field of blockchain, then writing my master thesis in the field of like DeFi and smart contracts. And then I went into the tokenization business with Amazing Blocks, being one of the very early employees of the firm. Okay, the next person to introduce maybe is Stephan.
Yes, great. Yeah, my name is Stephan Raubach, and I study business administration. And yes, I got into blockchain, I think mostly over trading as well, over Bitcoin, seeing the prices skyrocket. And then a friend of mine told me, why don't you just like dig into it more? And that's what I did. And I found it fascinating from the start, actually. And yes, since summer, when I started as an intern at Amazing Blocks, now I'm working in the business development department. Yes, that's my blockchain story so far.
Yeah, so my name is Bilguudei Enkhbaatar, and I also work in the business development department with Stephan and Nicolas. And my story to blockchain was, I studied finance, so I came in from that side. And I think blockchain technology as a whole is a really big disrupting technology in the industry as well. So that's why I'm interested in it. And I've joined Amazing Blocks over a month ago now.
Nice. So Bill, you said it's a big disrupting force. That directly leads to the next question. Like, what are the most important benefits of tokenization? And maybe you just go ahead and start with your viewpoint.
Yeah. So while doing my research, I think the most important benefit of blockchain technology from my side was, I think, the traceability, the transparency of everything that's happening within the system. And yeah, I think that's a really important benefit for everyone involved, especially in the financial markets, what's happening actually with their funds, with their investments and so on. And it also has, a lot of use cases that I think we could discuss in this podcast as well.
For the others, if you give your reason, like focus on just tokenization maybe, because tokenization alone is a huge field. If we talk about Bitcoin or other things as well, then we'll probably never end in the allotted time. So yeah, Raphael, do you want to go ahead with your most important benefit of tokenization?
Well, what I really like about tokenization is basically that we are able to tokenize almost everything. And this is also the name of this podcast. So it firmly is the point of view I have on it. So what I really like is the equity and everything which is around it. So equity is like a field which was really hard to access. And something like that is highly interesting for investors and also the firm themselves to really give investors the ability to invest in their firms or also do some fundraising. So we're really flexible here. So we tokenize everything, especially in the future.
Yeah. Do you have a sentence about Liechtenstein in that context?
Oh, of course I do. Well, Liechtenstein's framework, legal framework, is basically the toolbox we need at this point of time. It's really well designed from what it is supposed to do. Like it defines the token, it defines the legal register, which is here, the blockchain in that sense. And that's the reason why Amazing Blocks also went to Liechtenstein in order to leverage this toolbox of the legal possibilities we have here, and this years ahead, and we can bring them to other countries. And I think this is a really sweet spot for this time being.
Nice. I mean, good regulation is really key here, right? So yeah, perfect. Sergej, do you want to continue? What do you think is the most important benefit?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would say a very important benefit is the fact that we can make illiquid assets liquid, for example, in the space of collectibles or real estate. You can own assets that were very hard to purchase, or at least you would have needed a large amount, let's say, and now you can own fractionalized ownership and put it into an equity SPV, for example, as Raphael already mentioned, and make it tradable. So this is the largest benefit from my opinion.
Perfect. Stephan or Nicolas, do you have another point to add?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Nicolas,
sure.
you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. To me, a core benefit of tokenization and obviously blockchain as well is financial inclusion or inclusion in general, regarding whether it's in the finance sector or other sectors, because now people have the possibility to actually invest in assets that they before may have not been able to. For instance, like classic cars or real estate, expensive paintings, and so on. And that to me is a great use case here. And generally, in terms of use cases, what I find interesting as well is patent tokenization, because now you can actually invest in the future of a company, in the vision of a company, and in the innovation of a company. Yeah, the stage goes to Stephan.
Yeah. Well, my opinion, a major point is that we can cut out the middleman. So you have on-chain settlements that enable this intermediaries. So you don't have the bank or a trusted middleman anymore. And I think in the future this could lower fees tremendously, can fasten processes extremely, and I think this whole trust-based solution of tokenization and of course blockchain. This is going to be a big game changer.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Beautiful. So now we had the core benefits summarized, the 5 different ones, but I think they're also very interconnected. So I'm obviously making illiquid assets more liquid through cutting out middlemen leads to greater financial inclusion. Now, the 5 of you, do you have any very specific use cases where this effect is very profound? And maybe now let's start with Stephan, so we go backwards.
All right. Yeah, of course. So I think, for example, the tokenization of industrial goods like machines, this is going to be huge, because combined with Internet of Things and AI, you will really have intelligent machines being able to have make pay-per-use settlements, on-chain settlements directly on this trusted technology. And I think also that you have fractionalized ownership with tokenization of that machines is going to enhance the possibilities of financing industrial goods and machines and so on. So I think this aspect of tokenizing machines is still very young, I think, but I think blockchain there and tokenization can function as an architecture that where AI and Internet of Things then can come in. And I think this will be like Industry 4.0. That's, I think, where this comes in big.
Yeah. That's one B2B aspect, super interesting. So we had patents already from Nicolas, maybe Sergej now.
Right. I think I also mentioned my use case briefly. So I think real estate is a really large one. I mean, especially because this is actually one of the first use cases for tokenization. As we see, there's the highest market demand on the one hand, and on the other hand, you know, a lot of people want to own real estate and they don't really want to purchase, you know, a whole building or a whole apartment. So it makes it way easier to diversify their own portfolio and maybe own have a larger portfolio of smaller pieces of different real estate. So I guess this is also a very large one.
Yeah, and directly connects with financial inclusion, as mentioned before.
Exactly.
Nice.
Right.
Perfect. Raphael, a use case from your side.
Well, actually, the use case I like is something which we are not really aware of right now. I really like the big picture here. The big picture shows us that we can bring something as a token on the blockchain, right? And everyone can see it, as we talked about accessibility and transparency and everything around it. So what we have here is that we have a database which we can reuse somehow. Like this token on the blockchain might be the entrance or building block for someone else's firm or business case and everything around it. And I just really like the idea that we can see tokenization as one of those few big building blocks we can imagine in order to really leverage the future in like a way of thinking we don't know yet. At least we will try. We will have to try things out and everything. But I really like the really smart use cases which are coming up right now, just by the ability to write a token on the blockchain which represents something else. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So in essence, there's just countless possibilities. Right.
Yeah,
Bill, like coming from the financial side, do you have another aspect that is worth mentioning?
Yeah. So yeah, not specifically financial, but I'm really interested in the art tokenization part. So for example, staying with the liquidating a liquid asset thing Sergej mentioned. Collections, museums, so to say, they can also tokenize, for example, their arts, especially physical art pieces, visual arts, sculptures, and so on. That can also be done. And also, I think one of the biggest problems within the artwork is proving authenticity, providing provenance for art pieces and so on. And on the blockchain, it would not, well, there wouldn't be that problem because, as Raphael mentioned, there will be a database where everyone can see and prove the authenticity. And also another case within the art world would be independent artists, monetizing their own arts peer-to-peer, blockchain and tokens. So I think those are pretty interesting within the art world as well.
Yeah. It's definitely an industry full of lots of middlemen, right? So it's an interesting use case, definitely. And music industry is big, so that's Sergej, do you have something to add? Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay, perfect. So I think that was a pretty good introduction because now we heard from like multiple different viewpoints, also different backgrounds within the Amazing Blocks team, why tokenization makes sense. And I think Raphael captured it quite well. And this is just the preview, basically. There's lots of different use cases. So I'm excited to dive more deeply into the topic. And Nicolas will present some more questions to get more specific, I would say. Nicolas.
Yeah, thanks, Jan.
Stage is yours.
Thanks, Jan, for the great questions. It's always great, to have you on board. So yeah, I mean, 2020 has been a quite successful year for Amazing Blocks. Obviously, for those that don't know, I mean, we founded ourselves officially with Ether as initial contribution. Our software went live. We were the first ever to tokenize an Aktiengesellschaft, an AG, which is kind of similar to an LLC in the US, in Liechtenstein, in line with the Liechtenstein Token Act. Secured, multiple partnerships also with Disrupt Network, for instance, and Jan. So we were happy, to foster our ecosystem and our growth. And obviously we've had also some great lead acquisitions and some projects that are going to be launching pretty soon. So yeah, let's move forward. Sergej, to you, maybe to our listeners, what to you is the greatest or the biggest USP of Liechtenstein and Amazing Blocks as a whole?
Yes, right. I think we have talked about it shortly already, but I'm going to repeat it at this point. So Liechtenstein has initiated this Liechtenstein Token Act a year ago, roughly. And basically, it's a very forward-thinking legislation that sort of regulates the token economy. And in addition to that, Liechtenstein is also part of the European Economic Area, which makes it very interesting for a lot of finance applications, including securitization and tokenization, obviously, of equity. And yeah, so from this perspective, it allows us to tokenize equity. It's actually the only jurisdiction in the European Union which can do it that easily. So this is why we incorporate ourselves in Liechtenstein, and so the second part was basically about Amazing Blocks. I mean, our USP is obviously that we utilize the Token Act and that we are able to tokenize equity shares, but also debt tokens and many other things, actually, So we are combining legal and tech at this point.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the brief overview. Sergej, so let's move forward to Raphael. I mean, you're the CTO, obviously, our tech expert. So can you maybe give, our listeners a bit an overview of how our software evolved from, from the initial start at Amazing Blocks and to where we're at now, and maybe give a brief, overview of what is to become in the future.
Well, absolutely. We started with the token pad, basically. What is a token pad? The token pad is our issuance platform in order to create these, like, for instance, equity tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, compliant to the Liechtenstein law. And basically, the core piece of Amazing Blocks, and still is the shareholder register, which we initially developed here. It's the one thing which captures everyone's names and address lists and the tranche, or like the share number this person or entity owns at a certain time. So this is it is the legal requirement. Also, Sergej mentioned before, which we're trying to fulfill here. We also obviously tokenize ourselves, so we have a green light. We used it. We already sold it to our clients. So this is something where we started off. But what happened to the software? Well, we listened to our clients. Now our clients came to us with a lot of needs here in order to bring this basically to the market, or basically realize other dreams they have. And so what we did is we had to open up and get partners together with clients together, do a lot of APIs and connections to other really great startups or banks or business partners we found on the road here. And we also made sure that we make them investable from the public side, which is then the investor suite we have right now. We're even going one step further by building a huge platform which combines all the products we have. So we really try to do everything in order to listen to the market, make sure that we are staying competitive ahead of everyone, like as far as we can. And I think we are on really good track right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially, this development and listening to the client is crucial, to success in the future. So, yeah, we're really proud, to have such a future-oriented CTO like you on board, Raphael. So next, Bill. So you joined Amazing Blocks in late 2020. Obviously, it would be, wrong to ask you, how has your year of 2020 been with Amazing Blocks, though? Maybe can you give our listeners a brief overview of what was your first impression of Amazing Blocks and the team, of course?
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, as you mentioned, I joined Amazing Blocks in late 2020. And my first impression was how passionate everyone was about the project that they were working on. Because, I mean, my first point of contact with Amazing Blocks was obviously you, Nicolas, and then I've had the opportunity to talk to pretty much everyone on the team. And yeah, everyone just uniformly was very passionate about the whole project, about tokenization field, about blockchain as a whole as well. And yeah, that I really liked as well. And yeah, for me personally, the learning curve has been quite steep as well since joining. And yeah, very excited to move forward with Amazing Blocks.
Yeah, I mean, we are all very excited to have you on board. You're doing a great job so far, Bill. So next, Sergej again. I mean, I mentioned the achievements of Amazing Blocks, and I'm sure there's quite a lot of more. But maybe to you, can you single out the most crucial achievement of Amazing Blocks so far in 2020? I mean, when you talk about the achievements of Amazing Blocks in 2020, it sometimes seems like we had time the entire year, but I mean, we were founded in August, so like a lot have happened in this space, and it's maybe quite difficult to sing out one single achievement, but maybe you can give it a try.
Yes, exactly. As you said, Nicolas, it's not that easy to pick one because, in my opinion, there have been a few. But let me try to do it. And I think an important one is that we were able to, win a very important client for us and tackle a very interesting use case that we want to bring to street, by the beginning of the second quarter of this year, let's say. And I think not many startups are able to do this within such a short period of time. So I'm very proud that we were able to do that jointly as a team, looking forward for this year and more achievements.
Yeah, that's obviously, the core aspect of every business. You can talk a lot about own achievements, and even, tokenizing ourselves is quite a great achievement. But at the end of the day, what really matters is and also to our investors, is clients. And so we're really happy for this. And to our listeners, there's going to be some great news to come in the future here. So, speaking of future, let's move forward, with a little future outlook of tokenization and Amazing Blocks in general. Stephan, do you believe that the current crypto asset rally? I assume everybody that's listening is quite familiar with what's happening right now in the market. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies mooning. Do you think, or do you see that this rally in the market has an impact on fostering mainstream adoption as well for tokenization? Do you see any kind of correlation in that space?
Well, of course, this rally since March actually has been phenomenal. I think Bitcoin is up 800% or 700%. Just reached 41,000 today, and especially it reached over $1 trillion in market capitalization. That's extreme. And I think as more and more institutional money is coming into the market, and we see people all over the place calling their friends who like the crypto guys, like, hey, how I can get a Bitcoin and how can I get those revenues? Of course, it's getting more public, and what I think that maybe the trust increases, because I think a lot of people are still quite skeptical about blockchain and Bitcoin, and maybe there's like this, it's a bit sketchy for them. But I think as it grows more and more, the market will mature, and this can only benefit tokenization and the adaption. And I think more companies like us, we bring it out, we spread the word, what is possible now and what will be possible in the future, and it is basically the future. Blockchain will be the architecture for so many things and will be adaptable in so many different kind of industries. And yes, of course. And I hope when the security token boom will come, that this will finally will bring a huge leap forward for tokenization. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. I think, just 2 days ago, the news was released that the entire crypto market cap has reached 1 trillion. So it's just a crazy achievement. Still, when you look at the market cap of gold, for instance, where you only compare the Bitcoin as a whole, as a single currency, you compare it with gold sometimes as a store of value and competing with it. It's still, there's such a big gap between them. So yeah, it's really exciting, and I think everybody's seen an increased interest in this regard. So next, Bill. So I mean, you've been kind of getting into the tokenization space with us now, and obviously experienced a couple of use cases here. I mean, common use cases, as Sergej mentioned earlier as well, correctly, is real estate, for instance. Obviously, traditional company shares, art, or classic cars. But maybe, is there to you like a specific use case that you would mention that is maybe quite overlooked as of now? Maybe like something that people are not too familiar with yet?
Yeah, for me personally, well, I'm a huge sports fan, whether it's football, American football, Formula One, and so on. So I think tokenization in the sports industry is quite overlooked. I mean, there are a few players in the field working on projects like that, but I don't think it's as big as tokenization in the finance world, for example, or real estate and so on. So yeah, I think sports industry, I think there's a lot of potential there, especially when you see all these instances of, especially in the UK, how ownership works there, and how the fans are not happy with the different stakeholders within the sports industry. There is always conflict going on between them, and I think through tokenization, I think the whole situation or the conflict can be minimized. And also from the athlete point of view, and also from the leagues as well, I think there are different use cases that can be developed using tokenization. So that's what I would say is quite overlooked at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting use case. I think, there's a couple of cool startups in that space. Shout out here to Liquidity Team, for instance, and other projects. So yeah, we've talked about the crypto rally now and what's moving the markets around, and what's currently making the headlines. But obviously another hot topic is DeFi. And I know you, Raphael, are quite an expert in that regard, especially with your master thesis that you wrote on this topic. And you're quite, deep in the DeFi community. So DeFi and tokenization are, can be merged, obviously, to some degree. But where do you see, these synergies happening between these two core trends in the blockchain space?
Mhm. So it's wonderful, like as part of these building blocks I mentioned before. Imagine DeFi is decentralized finance and tokenization is the asset with value. And so what can be the first one of the most intuitional things here could be trading or like collateral. So if I have a token which represents a value, maybe I can use it as a collateral for something else, maybe for a loan or something like that, as we know it from the regular world, but we will make sure and have the benefit and the security that this is actually there. We don't need a validator in this sense. And it's transparent. So this is, for instance, one of the like a low-hanging fruit here. But we have many things more, of course, in the DeFi space. We can, for instance, create options, make financial products as we know them, of course, and combine them with the tokens we have. We can use the very same system also for insurances which can see what do you have, what you want to insure, how much. So this can be all automated, and like having insurance pools and around it. So this is great ideas here. And of course we can also recombine it again with like staking ideas and the ideas of just locking something up as well, and liquidity farming. And there's so many cases around it, just by bringing a token which represents a value plus a decentralized finance market space, which basically is finance 2.0. So it's a match. And DeFi will be a great thing for the future, I think. Of course, right now, the centralized finance is the way to go right now. Of course, we have to learn so much from the centralized finance, but I think we are able once, and it's a once in a lifetime thing right now, to rethink everything and test it. And this is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, jettisoning centralized, structure to at least to some extent, while still, combining, decentralization with regulatory compliance will be the key game changer here. So, it will be exciting to see how this plays out in the future. And it's great to have, someone like you that is so familiar with DeFi, so we can really, work on that and build something great here in the future. So last but not least on that regard, Sergej, you as a CEO now, what are the goals of Amazing Blocks in 2021?
Right. I mean, from a growth perspective, obviously we are about to close a few more clients this quarter. So we are really looking at a few additional use cases that are super interesting in my opinion. And from a strategy perspective, I would say we obviously want to develop our platform even further, add more features that we don't have yet. And yeah, basically grow our community, grow our partnerships, and grow as a team as well, because we need to scale quickly, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, scaling is a quite important topic in the overall blockchain space, so obviously also to us. So yeah, then I would give the stage back to Jan for a special conclusion of today's show.
Yes, and obviously in a future-oriented field like blockchain, the questions will revolve around the far future. So let's get started with Stephan. You already talked about Bitcoin. what do you think Bitcoin will be in 10 years from now?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yes.
It's interesting. I would say higher than it is now. I won't give any precise prediction. I think there are many models out there. For instance, the stock to flow model. And yes, I think we will see an increased price. But as Bitcoin has always been, it's volatile. So always beware before you invest. It's always going to be a correction. Nothing goes up forever. But I think on the long run, Bitcoin is on a very good track. And as he said, with the market capitalization of gold compared, there's still a long way to go. And
Yeah.
quite confident about that.
Nice. Good to hear in these times, I guess, for a lot of people listening. So, Bill, where do you see tokenization in 10 years from now? Do you think sports will make it?
Well, hopefully, yeah. I think if you look at the past, the attitude, the public attitude towards tokenization and blockchain industry as a whole has changed positively and rightly so, I think. And yeah, if you look at the last 2 years even, the attitude has changed drastically, and I think it's now understood more well in the right way, I would say. And as more bigger institutions get involved, and if there is a right regulation and so on, I think tokenization has a really big potential to be, as I said at the start, to disrupt the whole field and to become, an asset class in and of itself and so on. So I think, in 10 years, it's going to be mainstream as internet, maybe.
Nice. That's a substantially changed future. Let's see. That sounds great. Raphael, so you already spoke about DeFi. Where do you see DeFi 10 years from now?
Well, this is a super tough question, right?
That's why.
Of course, of course, on the legal side, I think and hope, of course, the regulators will be aware of it, because I think it will steadily grow and we have to find some regulations here. But we cannot forget that also the blockchain is borderless. So it might just need one country which is compliant to the other ones in order to basically enable the whole field to be legally secured. So I think this is a rather safe bet that this will happen in some way. And other than that, I don't want to make like a panic here right now, but I do believe that the decentralized finance system will most likely compete. Of course, will also have a symbiosis, but also will compete with the regular or like legacy financial system, as we could call it already. And there might be instruments on it which are maybe like an offer way too good, like the normal or the legacy system cannot provide. And this is something which I do believe is a game changer, because it might give a lot of strong possibilities, even money or leverages and everything around it to like anyone. And we're really talking also about the unbanked people yet, and it's going to be globally anywhere available from the starting point. And it's going to be a monster which you cannot stop. Like, I think it's going to be close to the internet. Like once it's spread, it's out there. And I do really strongly believe that DeFi might be overtaking the system at some point.
So who do you think is going to be that one state that's going to spearhead this?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I do believe that for different functions, different states will be like really ahead. For instance, we see Germany right now with the custodian question being really far ahead of a lot of other countries here. That's highly interesting. It legitimizes also the coin by itself, the value. So this is already a great and big deal from my point of view. The tokenization itself, of course, I'm luring at Liechtenstein, please, guys. But I think they will do a tremendous job because they're really ahead already. And other European spaces like Malta might be interesting, Estonia. And I do believe as well Asia is really strong here, but I'm not sure how they will solve some regulatory issues. and as well the US. The US is completely like a black box to me. It might be that the US wakes up really quickly for out of nowhere, and like in 1 year there might be the most advanced crypto country just because they get the regulation done and try to disrupt the financial system themselves. So all these question marks, I hope, will be answered like in a small approach, at least in 10 years. And I think we will see how the financial system reshapes slowly.
Hmm. Nice. Thanks for this answer. So yeah, Sergey, in your new function at Amazing Blocks, what are Amazing Blocks 10-year goals?
Right. I would also agree and say this is a tough question, but probably every prediction is a bit tough.
Yes, especially for 10 years, right?
Exactly. Anyways, I will give it a try. So I really hope that we will be the go-to platform as an infrastructure provider for tokenization, maybe even, all around the world, not only in Europe as it is at this point. In addition to that, obviously, I share the vision of Raphael that we might need to look very far ahead, in the sense that we might be able to offer services that we are right now not even thinking of. Things from the DeFi space that are evolving, things in the staking environment that are evolving. So those kind of things can be parts and features in our platform as well, obviously. But maybe not 10 years, maybe just for this year. I mean, we look at further business models, something like, a digital asset trust, where basically other financial or other companies and institutions can borrow our holdings and SPVs in order to launch, tokenized assets much easier, much faster, without the need to set up their own SPVs. So this is something that we are looking at right now and trying it out, basically. And yeah, let's see what kind of other business models are arising this year. So
yeah, nice, perfect. So yeah, my last question for today goes to Nicolas. Where do you see blockchain in 10 years from now as a whole, the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, here I would like maybe to draw a quick comparison to the internet industry, and to the development. Obviously, tech is evolving even faster now than it is 10, 20, 30 years ago. But still, I would say maybe to where internet industry was around like 2010-ish, something like this, just in terms of the development and the involvement. And generally, I would say blockchain it will be the underlying technology in terms of the finance sector, but not only this, but also supply chain, healthcare and other industries and sectors where it can just enhance current processes significantly. And then on top of this, it will also be a major driver of growth in regards to other major trends that I know that you're also quite interested in, involved in, Jan, like IoT, artificial intelligence, and so on. And furthermore, I think just generally blockchain will kind of, decentralize our society, not only the economy, but also the society generally, and lead to wealth distribution, financial inclusion, will uplift, kind of forgotten regions maybe that are now kind of emerging again, in emerging countries. So it will be, quite, a broad spectrum of different sectors that it will just disrupt and is already disrupting. And so it's going to be amazing to see, no pun intended here, how it plays out. And I think with all the other, predictions made as well, that are obviously also involved in blockchain, I think we're all on the right path here, in the right industry. And, we are really looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, with this, I would like to close today's edition. Again, a special thank you to you, Jan, for taking the time today as being my co-host. I really enjoyed it. You did a great job. So yeah, and to all my guests today of our team, it was great to have you. I mean, we talk almost every day, but it's still interesting, to see you guys here on my show. And so then to finalize this, the next week we will have algo traders Jakob Bossard and Jason Bloom. So you can look forward to this in regards to trading in the tokenization market. Will be a great topic here. So yeah, and in case you missed today's live event, then feel free to look it up on YouTube, as it will be released on Monday. Or if you're listening to it on Monday, then you've already listening to it. And then also you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram to get in touch with our team. You can always reach out to any of us. We will gladly assist you in any question in regard. And yeah, see you on the next show.